Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a long time since I've been on here. I kind of wanted to come on and do a little Q&A update video of some sorts. For those of you guys who are new here, my name's Yang. I'm an integrated vascular surgery resident. I'm a PGY 3 out of 5, so I officially have 2 more months left of this year and then 2 more years left until I graduate. But since it's been a while since I've last seen you guys, I thought it would be nice for us to do a little bit of a catch-up video. So grab a snack, grab some coffee, and let's get started. Okay, all right, let's see. Sorry for all of the noise. Oh, I see the ambulance. I wonder if that's going to the hospital. We'll start with the vascular questions first. So, why did you decide on vascular surgery? Did you ever consider any other types of surgery, and why didn't you end up going into that? So, great question. Vascular surgery, I think, really wasn't even on my radar. I didn't even know that was a specialty in medical school. I got super lucky when one of my chief residents, when I was on my 3rd year surgery rotation, actually was going into vascular fellowship. Vascular surgery is considered a subspecialty of general surgery, and you can still go into fellowship for it. So I had done a couple of vascular cases, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I'm kind of into it. I think my senior resident knew that I had an interest, and also some of my attendings noticed as well. So they really were formative in my decision, and I was really fortunate, and they pulled me along to all of the cases, like bypasses, carotids, EVARs, angios, and they really let me do a lot. I would say probably more than the usual medical student, because at that point I had started to kind of realize, hey, this is something I could do. Actually, before I started medical school, or once I had been accepted anyways, I actually really thought I was going to go into emergency medicine. I had shadowed in the emergency room. All my letters of recommendations were from emergency room physicians. I, was a scribe in an emergency department, and I had like the highest respect for all of the physicians that I had worked with. So I really thought that was going to be it for me. But I think like by 2nd year in medical school, when I had done some shadowing and I kind of got to a little bit more pathology and know about like different, like the acuity and more of like working in the hospital, I quickly came to realize that emergency medicine wasn't really for me. I think it's just too chaotic, it's too hectic, and I really am a personality or the type to really need to know something really well. And I think emergency medicine is what they describe as jack of all trades, master of none. And one of my best friends is in emergency medicine, and he just like thrives in that environment, like the chaos, knowing a little bit of everything and doing procedures. And I didn't really like that. I had to call a specialist in order to kind of further a patient's care. I decided on surgery. I did consider general surgery, but I think that was just because I saw it as a pathway to get into vascular surgery. And to be honest, like all of the gallbladder pathology, I never really sat well with me. And the bowel is just not something that I love like some of my general surgery colleagues do. So that wasn't it for me either. So I would have to say probably emergency medicine was something that I really wanted to do. And OBGYN actually. Women's health was something that I was really passionate about and wanted to learn more about. I think if GYN was offered as its own specialty, I probably would have pursued it. I think it was a good balance of like primary care and women's health and also being in the OR, but labor and delivery was just not it for me. And I just couldn't do like the smells and the birthing of the baby. just couldn't do it. So that's why I didn't do OBGYN. Books to prepare for vascular surgery. Sure, so this will be quick. I will have some of the links for the books down below in my profile. They'll be listed on my Amazon shop. For anyone who's a 3rd year student and wants to learn a little bit more about vascular surgery, I highly recommend the Gore Combat Manual. I will link it down below. It's a free PDF, and it covers everything at a very like bird's eye point of view, so you can get a sense of what we do. For students who are like visiting students, meaning like AIs or 4th years who are going to be rotating at different institutions, you want to show yourself a little bit more, show off your knowledge a little bit more. The Handbook of Patient Care in Vascular Surgery, again, I'll link it, was one that I carried in my back pocket at all times when I was doing my AIs, and that really helped. It's a little bit more in detail. It's quick to read, it's very easy to reference, and it basically covers all the PIM questions that you could possibly be asked in the OR. So highly recommend that. And then for anyone who's like truly dedicated and has decided they're going to vascular surgery, our gold standard or our Bible is the Rutherford's textbook. So we're on the 9th edition now, and I think if you can get like a free PDF of the 8th edition, that's fine as well. But the 9th edition Rutherford's is what we consider our Bible and what we kind of, schedule all our didactics around. Favorite vascular procedure? Oh, that's a good one. Probably to start, I would have said carotid endarterectomy. That's because that was the first surgery that I ever did, and that's what got me into vascular. That's what got me hooked. Knowing what I know now, I think it was a low bifurcation. It was like an easy exposure. Like the internal and external carotids were laid out beautifully. I saw the superior thyroid. Not all carotids go like that, and I think I just had a very, very, very good experience. And I saw the technique and I saw them sew on the patch, and I was like, wow, the technique is incredible, like such finesse, and like it really blew me away. Don't get me wrong, I still really like carotids, but now that I've done so much more, I would have to say right now probably my favorite would either have to be a TVAR with a carotid subclavian bypass, because it combines open and endo, or just a good old-fashioned like bypass. Actually, that's not true. TVAR with a carotid subclavian bypass or an aortobifem. And the reason why I said an aortobifem is because I did my first ever one solo as the first assist with the attending, and it was just like the best day of residency that I've ever had in my life. So I was on a high for like 3 days after that. So that would probably have to be my favorite case. Biggest core concepts to know as an incoming vascular surgery PGY1: really just focus on being a good intern. I will link it up above, my intern video on how to be efficient and how to like do things in the hospital. I think, preparing for consults and stuff like that when you are entering second year is a good time to start reading. But again, as an incoming PGY1, I would just focus on being a good intern. Now we're going to transition more into the medicine/general residency questions. Someone said, one thing you would tell your stressed out M3, M4 self before applying to residency. I was incredibly stressed out as a third year, because I think I decided on vascular surgery as in like February or March of my third year in medical school, and I like really had no idea what I was doing, and I was like, should I take a research year? Should I not take a research year? Should I just apply general surgery and just like say whatever and hope that I'll get into vascular fellowship? So it was a lot of back and forth. And then fourth year, after I had taken my research year, I was like, am I competitive enough? Where do I even apply? What do I want to do with my life? So all of that to say that I completely understand where you're coming from. Third year and fourth year is incredibly stressful. I think it's crazy that we have to base an entire career decision off of like basically a year of rotations, but it's fine. I would just say that, if you've decided on a specialty, really try and network and really try and get to know upperclassmen or attendings who are in that specialty so they can help you in terms of applying. If you're unsure of what you want to do as a third year or a fourth year, really, really try and get to see as much as you can. I know that can be really tough. My school really limited us third years in terms of what rotations we could do. I think we did like 6 or 8 specialties total, and they were just like the core ones that we had to take for shelf. So we really didn't get to see a lot. But if you have like an inkling that you have some curiosity, like, oh, maybe ophthalmology is cool, or oh, urology is cool, or like, I've never seen dermatology before, how do I get into that? I think, email the department chairs, really try and get people who will allow you to shadow and talk to people, and really get as much exposure as you can to try and figure out what kind of specialty is right for you. Advice for the last weeks of fourth year before internship. So don't study. Definitely do not study. It's like your last couple weeks before you start the craziness that's intern year. Really enjoy yourself. See your family and friends as much as you can. Make sure you get all of your apartment and moving stuff sorted out. Finalize your like paperwork and all of that, and just really, really enjoy the feeling of like no responsibility before you start. Well, people told me like, why would you study? Nothing is going to get retained, and you don't even know if it's going to help you at this point. So I completely agree with that now looking back, and just relax, enjoy the time that you have. Items do you recommend for incoming interns? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, so let's see. Definitely blackout curtains if you ever end up on nights. Really, really good coffee machine that's reliable. A really good water bottle that you will actually use. So I, for a long time, used like a crappy whatever plastic water bottle, and I never drank from it because it tasted horrible, and now I have this ridiculously expensive and unnecessary water bottle that has UV-like capability. But I tell myself that it's okay because I actually drink water from it and I am preventing AKI. So a good water bottle that you'll actually use. For some people, a stethoscope. I've never used one. I think maybe once during my ICU rotation, but some people will say a good stethoscope. Other things, a good pair of shoes. So whether or not you're in the OR, you know, you are going to be on your feet all day in the hospital. So a good pair of shoes that you basically are going to be investing in. So a lot of people like Calzeros for the OR. I personally wear Danskos. And even if you're not in the OR, I think a good pair of like sneakers that will prevent your feet from aching all day will take you really far. Compression stockings, also very, very important. I'm biased because I'm a vascular resident, but compression stockings that you can get, ideally, like you should get fitted for them, but if you can't, you can just buy them on Amazon. You want the 20 to 30 millimeters of mercury, and that will really, really prevent your legs from aching after a really long day. I wear them every single day, and on the days that I don't, because I don't have any clean ones, I can really feel a difference. Do you have any tips on managing burnout? How do you get through burnout from a tired PGY1? So I think burnout is a really important topic in residency, and I would love to do a video to dedicate, you know, more on that topic. But for now, I think preventing burnout is really, really the key. And unfortunately, the training paradigm right now can be very, very difficult between like 24 hours and then the 4 hours post-call or night flow, or just kind of, you know, all these horror stories that you sometimes hear about in residency. I think one of the big things for preventing burnout is actually taking care of your physical needs first. So like eating well, drinking water, sleeping enough. I cannot emphasize that enough. Like, it doesn't matter how good of a day you have or like, you know, what kind of a program you're at. If you don't sleep enough, it's not good for anybody. And these all took me time. Like, I'm a third year now and I'm finally realizing that maybe I should stop eating Cheetos for lunch. Maybe I should have a salad. Maybe I should even eat breakfast at all. Like, stop chugging caffeine in the mornings. So these took me time too, because when I was an intern, I burned out really bad. Like, I think January, February, it's like the classic burnout time. The high of being a doctor is over. You're like, oh my God, intern year sucks. I'm just doing like scut work all the time, you know, discharges, paperwork, all of that stuff. And it really, really took me a while to get out of it. And the best thing that I can say is that I really, really had to prioritize my well-being for a long time. That meant like not seeing friends as much, making sure that I slept enough, making sure that I ate, because it's very taxing mentally to be in residency. But if you combine that with like physical ailments and your body telling you that you need to stop and rest and you don't do it, it just makes things worse. You know, if you guys are burned out, I really encourage you guys to seek help. I spoke a lot to my friends during that time and reached out to my family members. You know, all I really wanted was to keep to myself and lay in bed all day, but you know, that there's an unhealthy amount that you could do that. And so I really tried to make sure that I slept enough and I, you know, saw people that I cared about and remembered the life that I had outside of medicine. And I think that's probably the most important thing. Residency is really hard, and we all have to remember to take care of ourselves. So if you're struggling, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to somebody in your program. Don't be afraid of like administration pushback or anything like that. Like, if you're struggling, you have to prioritize yourself first. The hospital will go on without you, but like, who are you if you're not yourself? Okay, a couple more. Let's talk about some fun ones. So how did you and James meet? James and I met at a bar at the end of my first year of medical school. My class and I all went out for drinks after an exam and tried to celebrate, like, woo, done with first year. It's my friend who introduced us, actually didn't know James at all, and just like randomly saw that James and I had a connection and like introduced us to each other. And we started seeing each other that summer, and then we started dating later that fall. So we've been together for 6 years now, and we've been married for half a year. What is James's job? So James works in software. I don't really know beyond that how to officially classify his job, but he works from home. He's always worked from home since we've moved to DC, and not because of the pandemic. So it's been really great. And he, you know, is a great husband, and he's home.
Are you ready?
I need 5 minutes. That was like 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, hello. What's up? We gotta go though. Wait, how many cameras do you have?
Okay, we gotta go.
What?
Okay, one last question. Okay, sorry. He came in and I got all excited. How do you and James work around your crazy workload and hours? He knows that work is a really big priority for me right now and that training comes first sometimes, a lot of the times, because this is my time to really learn before I become an attending. So he's very understanding of that. I'm very, very fortunate that he does. But I do try and make sure that the time off that I have is spent with him. Instead of seeing everyone all together at once, as much as I'd love to, I do have to prioritize my relationship with him. And so we'll do it a lot of like date nights, or we'll just kind of like stay in and watch a movie that he wants, or order food that he wants, and really just like quality time together with just the two of us is kind of how we balance. And he does understand that it might not get better, but he also understands that this is kind of what I'm doing for our life together as a family for the future. So that's how we get around it. How many hours do you work a day? So I would say I average between 12 to 15 hours a day. 12 is like, I would say a good day, maybe 11 sometimes, but usually 12, just because we start at 6, we end at 6. And then if cases go late or I choose to stay for the cases, then it easily becomes like a 14, 15 hour day. But I don't break any duty hours at all. Our program is actually very, very nice in terms of the amount of weekends that we have off. And so I would say that my work-life balance is very good. And, being a third year is way better than being an intern in terms of call schedules. So let's just say this is the last one for now. Is it hard to balance family and friends outside of work? So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot, because I do think that it's very, very hard to balance family and friends outside of work. Even though I just said that my program is very good about giving us time off and that, I have weekends. I'm a really introverted person, and that combined with how much I need to work, I really, really need a lot of time to myself, time not spent socializing, because I don't count that as work, but I don't count that as like time off. Like if I go see friends for dinner, if I go do an activity with friends, that's not like resting time for me. That's social time, but that's not resting time. And that kind of goes back to like the topic of burnout that we talked about a little bit earlier. That took me a while to figure out for myself, because when I first started, you're like meeting new people, you want to make friends, and I was like seeing people a lot and like hanging out, and that also led to burnout very quickly because I wasn't resting. I wasn't telling myself to stop. But back to the original question, like, does that make balancing friends and family really hard? Yeah, it does. Like, do I call my parents as much as they want me to? Probably not. Do I see my friends as often as I want to? Definitely not. And there's an element of sacrifice to residency as well. It's not all sunshine. Like, I think a lot about some of the friends that I've lost touch with over the years, and it makes me sad. But it's kind of part of growing up and part of being in residency. And I know they understand, but it's not the same as it used to be. Yeah. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope it was helpful. If you guys have any other questions, or if you'd like me to do more of these types of videos, please leave a comment back down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next one.
And we gotta go because we have a
Okay, we gotta go.
rehearsal
Bye.
dinner. Go get dressed.